Let's explore some of the options that we have in working with strokes in Adobe Illustrator. Remember, Illustrator is a resolution-independent vector program. It draws objects. Objects can have a stroke or not. They can have a fill or not. They can have both or they can have neither. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Let's just talk about strokes, but not just drawing them, some of the creative uses for them. We're going to start by picking up our rectangle tool and drawing a rectangle on the screen. As a matter of fact, hold the Shift key down. I want a square. Something like that. Come over here and click this button to the left of our fill stroke buttons, and that will force it into a solid black stroke with a white fill. That's where we are right now. With the box selected, make sure it's selected, go up to the word Object on the pull-down menu, go down to Path, and select Split into Grid. Let's go ahead and turn the preview on. I want a 2-row, 2-column, but I need these grid areas bigger. So I'm going to change the gutter. That's what the gutter is, the space between them, to about, let's go about 30 on each one of these. All right, click OK. You have now made 4 boxes so far. Pick up your line segment tool. Come over here, right in the middle, right on the end, and click and drag while holding the Shift key down to draw a straight line. When you get to the edge of the box, let go. Pick up the selection tool, hold on the Alt key, which is make copy, and drag one of those bad boys over here. If they're not exactly in the center, you can use your arrow keys to nudge them. I want another one of these off to the side. Hold the Alt key down and drag it again. Come to a corner until you see a bent arrow, and rotate it. Hold the Shift key down to keep it vertical. Make that one and place it over here. Again, if it's not exactly where you want it to be, use your arrow keys to nudge it around. That's what they're there for. Hold down the Alt key to make a copy down here. Fun so far, Select all 4 of them. Shift click, Shift click, Shift click. We got those 4 strokes selected, not the boxes. Come over here. Again, remember, we're in the painting workspace. And click the stroke tab right here and pull that panel out so we can see it. You might not see this. You might see just that. If all you see is the weight, click this button right here and go to Show Options. A lot of the panels in Illustrator have that option, gives you more stuff. I want the lines a bit thicker. So we're going to go from 1 point to 2, and we'll double them in size since they're selected. Not going to worry about caps and corners right now. We're going right down to dash line. Click that button. Now what we have done is we've created a dash line. The default is 12 points. If you don't use any of these other gap dash options, whatever that number is will be what the gap is. So we have a black line of 12 points, a gap of 12, etc., etc., etc. I'm attempting to make a road. That's my goal here, if you will. I'm trying to create a map. Illustrator is very good at this type of thing. As a matter of fact, years ago, maps you'd find at garages and gas stations were probably done in Adobe Illustrator. So we've used the stroke and we've modified the stroke in this case to create something like a map. Let's do one more thing here. Pick up your rectangle tool again. Now I want you to draw a rectangle that encloses everything we've done. So we click and start right about here and just drag all the way down until you've got it all. You could probably hold the Shift key down just to make sure and just make it just as big as everything we've done. Click that button here to force black and white. And of course, it's on top of everything, which is fine for the moment. Our roads need a surface. Surfaces on roads are usually gray. So with this selected and our fill button selected here, let's go over and choose like a nice dingy gray. But the problem is our box is on top of everything. Remember, in Adobe Illustrator, everything is in a 3-dimensional state called a stacking order. And every time you draw something, everything else is going to be underneath it. In this case, we'll select it. Go to the word Object, go down to the word Arrange, and go down to Send to Back. So our first demonstration of working with a stroke is in a sense to create a road. Let's go ahead and select everything that we've done so far and get it a little bit more out of the way. Next thing, come over here and pick up the Line Segment tool and draw a line segment on the screen by just clicking and dragging. By default, it's going to be 1 pixel because that's what we used. No dash line. Let's go back to dash line again. And again, we've got that same 12 on, 12 off look to that dash line. I want it a little bit different. That's why you have these options right here. If you don't use that gap, the gap is the same as the dash. We already talked about that, and that's why we see this. But if I change the gap to, say, 3, you will notice that I have a much smaller gap now. If I go into dash on this one and say 9, gap 5, and dash 10, and gap 2, watch what happens. I don't know, it kind of looks like Morse code to me, and that's probably the Morse code for SOS. The idea, though, is dash lines do not have to be uniform on and off. You can be very creative. So what's this button for right here? Well, we need a square for that, or some other shape. Let's go ahead and do this. And we will already have our line on there, but you will notice that it's not really even. It cuts a corner here, it kind of gaps here, it starts to cut a corner here. It's not the exact same thing. If you've got that problem where you're drawing things that have corners and the dash line really isn't looking good, what you can do is select it and click this button and watch what happens. It caps the corners. It forces that corner to have some type of cap on it, which will make it look a little bit neater if that's what you want to do. Getting into the arrowheads down here if you want to, let's draw another line on the screen. Actually, we could use the one we've got above there, but we'll do another one. Let's go ahead and click this button right here to keep it as a solid. You can use it as a gap if you want to. It's not that big of a deal. And we'll go ahead and give it a little bit of a thicker. Let's go 3-point on this one. So we have a line. Arrowheads can be in the front or the back. So we can have an arrow on the front, and we can have something more like a circle on the back end. So you've got an arrow with a little circle on the back end. This button right here allows me to reverse the direction of the arrow. The scaling options allow me to change the size, the scale of the front end or the back end based on where they are. Now the arrow's on the right-hand side, so this one here controls the size of that arrowhead. And of course the same is true of the scale of the circle on the back end. If you lock them in, you change them both at the same time. Alignment. If I click this button right here, you'll notice what happens. The alignment is changed to the center of the length of the line. So the line actually gets bigger because of the arrowhead and the circle. If we select this one, it forces the length of the line to determine the length, even including the arrow in the circle. Up to you. You can even come down to here and change the profile of the line. Make it a little bit more creative, I suppose. It doesn't have to have an arrowhead on for you to do that. And then we can flip it horizontally or vertically, depending on what you want to do. Strokes. Actually, there's not really that much to them, at least where we are right now in our lesson, but they do give you a lot of control over the visual aspects of any document in Adobe Illustrator.